Hi, I'm Ashlee, and today I'm using 4 different techniques for making homemade fudge with tips and tricks to go along with it. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss anything, and let's get started. Now, just like the caramels from last week, the key to getting a good fudge is to get it to the right temperature. Now, with the microwave fudge recipe, we actually don't take the temperature, we don't focus on the temperature, we just focus on getting everything melted. And microwave fudge is super simple to make, it has a great flavor, it's easy to customize, but for me, it's always a little bit more on the denser side than a good stovetop soft fudge. So there's just a little bit of difference there. I mean, the ease totally makes it worth it, but at the end of the day, a stovetop fudge is an easy way to go, and I like the end results a little bit better. So you want to have a thermometer. Now you can use this gun thermometer or a classic candy thermometer. It doesn't matter which one you go with. I will say the gun is really fun to use, but you have to hold it constantly, and it's not quite as accurate, it's not as sensitive as the candy thermometer. So the candy thermometer is still my go-to. So our goal is to hit just below the softball stage. Now the softball stage is 240 degrees Fahrenheit at sea level, and we want to get between 235 and 240. Once you hit 240, you want to make sure that you have it off. Once it hits 235, that's when you can, test it in some cold water, or usually I just kind of go by feel. I usually pull it off right in the middle, like 237. But you have to remember this. These are sea level temperatures. I live way above sea level, and so I have to adjust the temperature that I'm getting my candy to. Because I live so high above sea level, I actually am adjusting by 20 degrees. And so instead of trying to get to 237, I'm getting between 215 and 220. I'm getting for like 217 is what I do. So don't forget to test your candy thermometer at your altitude and see at what point it boils, and then compare that to the normal boiling temperature and minus or add what you need to find the adjustments that you need to make for your perfect candy. All right, time to make the fudge. We're gonna start with the easiest of all the fudges, and that is a microwave fudge. So we start with 3 cups of chocolate. Now I've varied my chocolate. I have mostly semi-sweet, but a little bit of dark in here. And then we have some sweetened condensed milk, and finally some butter. Now we're gonna take it away and microwave it for 1 minute on high. Now we're gonna stir this and see if it's all melted. If it's not, you're gonna add another 30 seconds in the microwave on high. If you're using mini chocolate chips, that first minute is usually enough. If you're using anything bigger, like I'm using wafers, which are even bigger than regular chips, it will take a little bit of extra time. Don't just rush into putting it back in the microwave, because every time you put it in the microwave, you're actually cooking it a little bit, and that is going to end up with a tougher fudge. So you want to cook it as little time as possible. So just keep stirring, making sure that maybe it's not warm enough to melt whatever's left itself. Like this wasn't smooth when we first started. It looked like it was gonna stay pretty chunky, but I just stirred a little bit more and it was okay. So now we're gonna add the vanilla. And now this is done. That's all it needs. We just put it into a pan and let it cool overnight. This is a great time for some add-ins though. So I like to add pecans. You can also consider adding marshmallows. We're actually gonna make a Rocky Road recipe coming up here. So you can turn this into a Rocky Road. You can turn it into a peppermint by adding candy canes. You can use this same recipe with white chocolate. So all of the recipes that I'm making today can be twisted into all kinds of different flavors. Now you can either pour this into a pan that you've prepared by coating it in some butter, or you can pour it into a pan that you put parchment paper in. Personally, I like to go the parchment paper route because I like being able to grab the corners and just pop it out, just pull it straight up. But the butter route is a great way to go too. And then just pop this in the fridge for 4 to 6 hours or overnight, kind of whenever it's done. Now we're gonna make a fudge with the marshmallow cream. Now usually you start cooking some kind of liquid, add the marshmallow cream to it, and then stir in the chocolate chips. Whether you use white chocolate chips or chocolate chips, kind of depends on what flavor that you're making. But instead of creating my own syrup or using other liquids, I'm going to be using some ice cream topping. This is a butterscotch, and this is going to make a butterbeer fudge. It's really fun. We're gonna use butterscotch for the bottom 2/3, and then a marshmallow ice cream topping cream for the top, and that's gonna create a foamy look to our butterbeer fudge. So again, this type of fudge can be completely personalized for a lot of different flavors. This is just the one that I have on my blog, and it was an easy one to show you. So pour your butterscotch into your saucepan, and we're gonna heat this up to a boil. Now this is bubbling away really nicely, not just a little boil, but a full boil throughout the whole sauce. And I've actually heated it up to a softball stage, and I'm going to take it off the heat. Now we're gonna add the marshmallow cream. Keep stirring because the pan is still really hot. And you wanna pour in the chocolate chips. And then stir it until all the white chocolate chips are melted, and then spread it out. So we're going to do the same thing with our marshmallow cream. Take the marshmallow sauce, bring it up to softball stage, add the marshmallow cream. I'm gonna take it off the heat and pour in the chocolate chips. Now you wanna make sure you're using really high quality white chocolate or your fudge is not gonna come out very good. And add the white, and then refrigerate this overnight as well. Next up, I'm gonna make some Rocky Road fudge. Now this is the marshmallow-based fudge, and not just because it has marshmallows in it, but the fudge itself has marshmallows in it. Now I got this recipe from my Aunt Lynn. I actually have quite a few recipes from my Aunt Lynn. She's a good cook. We're gonna use a couple different kinds of chocolate. So this is our nice chocolate. You can use like a bar or I use melting chocolates, just not chips. This is about 20 ounces. And then we're gonna use chips. And this is another 12 ounces. And then we're gonna add some butter and put that in there too. And we're gonna put this aside. Now we're gonna take some sugar and a can of evaporated milk, and we're gonna heat this up. Now this is similar to the marshmallow cream fudge. In fact, you can actually swap out marshmallows and marshmallow cream almost interchangeably in fudge recipes. So right now what we're doing is creating that liquid that I talked about. Now we used butterscotch syrup for the butterbeer fudge, and for this one we're making our own syrup with the sugar and the evaporated milk. So you can see how you can start to flavor these any way that you want and change them up. Once you bring it to a boil, you want to leave it at a slow boil, not boiling over, but a nice slow boil for about 7 minutes, and this will bring it up to the temperature that we're looking for. And I'm going to add the marshmallows. And then you want to take it off the heat. Once the sauce is cooled, we're gonna pour it over our butter and chocolate bowl. And then we're gonna stir it and melt all the butter and chocolate. Now we're gonna add the vanilla and the pecans. Can't have Rocky Road without marshmallows, so I have frozen a bunch of mini marshmallows that we're gonna stir in now. And now, like before, we're gonna put this in the fridge overnight. And now for our final fudge recipe. This one doesn't have chocolate chips, marshmallows, or marshmallow cream in it. This is more of just like original candy fudge. It has a lot of sugar and some evaporated milk. I'm also gonna put some butter in it and a little bit of salt. And we're gonna stir and bring it up to a boil. Once it's up to temperature, you want to pull it off the heat. And now we're going to stir in the peanut butter. And this goes in the fridge as well. And they're all finished. So, word of warning, my butterbeer fudge has had a lot of comments on the blog saying that it was too soft when people tried it. So I thought, well, maybe because I'm using the ice cream topping instead of, making it with sugar and evaporated milk, maybe it is simply too soft. It needs to be a little bit hotter. So I heated it up to like 242, like just a little bit above the softball stage to make sure I really got it. And I totally should have taken my own advice and stuck with the 237 because it's way hard. This is way harder than it should be. And I was gonna remake it, but I ran out of supplies. So here is a great fail here on YouTube to show you that it is really sensitive, and going with the correct temperature is the results you're gonna go with. A lot of fudge recipes say bring to boil and boil for 5 minutes and then take off. But because the length of time of boiling really depends on your altitude. While it might work perfectly in Arizona at sea level, it might not work in Utah. Or if it works perfectly in Utah, it's not gonna necessarily work at sea level, which is why I still rely on and trust the candy thermometer and the temperature, and I advise that you do as well. All the rest of the fudges turned out amazing. So my favorite part, it's time to try them. All right, so the microwave fudge. It tastes really great, but like I said, because it's so based on just melted chocolate chips, it's just a denser, harder fudge, but the ease makes up for that. It's a great way to go. All right, let's go for the Rocky Road. For me, this is more of what fudge should be. Now, I feel like microwave fudge is fudge at 240 degrees exactly, where I, like I said, prefer that 237 range, just a little bit below softball. So if you like your fudge more on the softer side, stick closer to that 235 range, remembering to adjust. And if you like your fudge more on the dense hard side, go all the way up to 240. So not only can you personalize all these recipes by changing the syrups or the oils or the flavors or the mix-ins or chocolate versus white chocolate. But you can also adjust and personalize the fudge based on the temperature that you choose to go with. All right, peanut butter. So this I pulled off early. I pulled it off right at 235 and it is much softer. Oh, it's amazing. It's really peanut buttery too. There's something about fudge that's just so good, but at the same time, it's not one of those treats that you can just sit and eat a pan of. I do have a lot of those treats. This is a good one because it's just great for a couple bites. I really love it. Oh, that peanut butter is good. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that fudge has been demystified for you and you can see how many possibilities there are in flavor combinations and how you can create something and that bam, your mind is open. I would love to hear down below the flavor combination that you are planning on making with your fudge first, or if you have a favorite fudge that you tried once that you can't wait to recreate. My favorite is amaretto chocolate. I love making a chocolate fudge, adding amaretto flavoring and chunks of almonds because I like my fudge chunky. My second favorite is to do a double layered fudge with one layer being chocolate and the second layer being peanut butter. I know a lot of people are all into PB&J, but personally I'm into PB&C, peanut butter and chocolate. Ooh, and peanut butter and coconut, that works too. It's another favorite. Or peanut butter and caramel, that's another C one. PB&C all the way. Anyway, I want to hear down below what your favorite flavor of caramel is. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of the fun recipes coming up, and don't forget to check out all of our older holiday videos as well. I have homemade eggnog, homemade Andes mince, peppermint macaroons, and then of course last week's homemade caramels and hot fudge and caramel sauce. You know, holidays and baking and all this stuff are the best, so I have a ton of videos there for you. So happy holidays and thanks for watching.